Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Sunday evening, June 22, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak month of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section, but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what the that's been like in your ear recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let's just take a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook that just came out at 7:38 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:38 p.m. Jamaica time. There is something out there. According to the Hurricane Center, let's read what they cooked up. They've stated, showers and thunderstorms are showing some signs of organization in association with an area of low pressure located about 450 miles east of Bermuda. Early satellite-derived wind data indicated the system possessed a well-defined surface circulation, and additional organization of the shower and thunderstorm activity could lead to the formation of a short-lived tropical depression over the next day or so. By Tuesday, the system is expected to encounter less favorable environmental conditions, ending its opportunity for further development. Regardless of development, the system is forecast to move northeastward at 5 to 10 miles per hour, remaining over the open central Atlantic. And we see that they've given the system a 40% chance of formation within the next 2 days, and a 40% chance of formation within the next 7 days. And the system is all the way over here. You see the clouds, you see the showers, the thunderstorms associated with it. East of this dot, that's Bermuda. It's not really looking that impressive, but it definitely has a spin to it. Pretty sure if we look at the surface map, we're gonna be seeing some kind of a spin to the system. Not the surface map, the visible satellite imagery right here. You see a kind of circular motion with it, but it is clearly pushing off towards the northeast, just like what the Hurricane Center states. And we know that if it could develop into a tropical depression, if not a storm, the name that it would acquire would be Andrea. However, on the eastern Pacific side of things, we're still watching that area that has a high chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days, right here to the south of Central America. According to the Hurricane Center, a large area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms is located a couple of 100 miles offshore of Central America, where an area of low pressure is forecast to develop over the next day or two. Thereafter, environmental conditions appear conducive for gradual development of this system, and a tropical depression is likely to form by the middle to latter part of the week, while the system moves west-northwestward off the coasts of Central America and southern Mexico. Locally, heavy rainfall is possible across portions of Costa Rica, Nicaragua, spreading into El Salvador and Guatemala through the early part of this week. And we see that they've given the system a 10% chance of cyclone formation within the next 2 days and a 70% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. And we see that the core of the system, or the center of circulation, is expected to stay offshore, paralleling the Mexican coast. We can see the shower and the thunderstorm activity down there for sure. Not organized yet, but could definitely get there. And we already see the bad weather affecting portions of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua. Some shower and thunderstorm activity. We see it even better on the infrared right here. For reference of Jamaica over here, we have Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. They're already getting pelted. A lot of shower and thunderstorm activity as we speak. I know that if something should develop out of that, the next name on the list for the Eastern Pacific is Flossie. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see the trough of low pressure right up here. associated with what could develop into that tropical depression, like what the Hurricane Center stated. You can see a tropical wave right here, and that's what is definitely bringing a lot of thunderstorm activity to this section of Nicaragua. We have Jamaica right here. We have another tropical wave to the southeast of Jamaica, to the south of Hispaniola. Another tropical wave to the east of the Windward Islands, affecting northeastern South America. Another tropical wave right here, way out in the northern portion of the North Atlantic, well, in the main development region. And the ridges of high pressure are still out there that we know are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost sunlight, we can make out some of these entities. Tropical wave down in here, lashing a portion of Central America, Nicaragua. Tropical wave is somewhere in here. Don't really see the crazy thunderstorms associated with it, but it's down in here for sure. We're definitely going to be seeing the bad weather associated with it across section of Jamaica tomorrow when it pushes in. According to the hurricane, according to the surface map, where's the other tropical wave? It's supposed to be right in here, affecting portions of the eastern Caribbean already. We can see the other tropical wave right in here, more so squashed down in the intertropical convergence zone of the North Atlantic right there. And we can make out the clouds right here to the north associated with that area of low pressure and the trough that is attached to it across the northern portion of North Atlantic that has that medium chance of development, as well as the low level flow of the clouds being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north, not to mention the upper level flow, the upper level wind shear blowing those cloud tops out towards the northeast right in there. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean a little later on. Let us focus your attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Sunday, June 22, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have been in the forecast of parts of central and western Jamaica on Sunday afternoon. We know central Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. Western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? At around 1:46 p.m., the visible satellite image was posted right here on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, and it was also posted on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can see the clouds right here. Definitely bring overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, and even some isolated thunder showers to section of some central western parishes, and even portions of eastern Jamaica got in on some of the action. I live in St. Thomas. I definitely got in on some isolated showers as well. Definitely grateful for that rainfall. Then at around 3:05 p.m., the infrared close-up satellite images were posted. They highlighted the blues, the greens, the yellows, oranges, right? They represent that cumulonimbus cloud cover activity, not to mention the sparkling white dots in there that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes activity for sure, especially across inland areas of some central parishes, sections of some western parishes as well. Definitely got some thunderstorms for sure across those spots. We're talking about sections of northwestern St. Elizabeth, eastern Westmoreland, sections of maybe southern St. James, sections of southern Trelawney. It's talking about southern St. Anne, northern St. Catherine for sure. Those areas definitely picked up some amount of isolated thunder shower activity. The visible satellite image right here of Jamaica confirms it before we lost sunlight. We can make out that cloud cover. Still definitely a lot across the St. Elizabeth area. Those cloud tops being sheared off towards the east northeast by that upper level wind shear, but clearly most of those clouds were dissipating, clearing out by the time the sun was about to go down. The infrared close-up satellite imagery confirming the thunderstorms that took place and pushed off right here to the west of us, the west of Westmoreland, to the west of St. Elizabeth for sure. Everything dying out by the time we're starting to record. And we definitely have confirmation right here, according to the live camera from C Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing the panoramic city view looking towards the Kingston Harbor, looking towards downtown Kingston. We can clearly see that it was definitely a fair day, nothing in the way of bad weather taking place. A bit cloudy at that time, but nothing in the way of significant bad weather, rainfall, or anything like that took place across the corporate area today. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Even the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website is confirming that rainfall that took place across sections of some western parishes and inland areas of some central parishes today for sure. This map does paint quite the picture of how we had that rainfall. Very accurate. And we have at least one comment here on our Twitter page confirming what the weather was like in at least one of our followers' area. We have 1S Jenna MNAXO stating breeze nice. And that confirms that is it for all of the comments for today. Alright, so let us see what's happening right now. Let us see the latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let's see what is taking place as we speak. The latest still image from the Weather Nerds website is showing 0045 UTC, which is actually around 7:45 p.m. Jamaica time. So this just came out 12 minutes ago, considering that it is 7:57 p.m. right now. And we can clearly see that we have some thunderstorms off to our west. We see the blues, we see the greens, some isolated thunderstorms, we see the sparkling white dots. I'm pretty sure that if you're living in Negril and you're looking to the southwest, you're seeing those lightning strikes. We're also seeing some thunderstorm activity to the northeast of Portland. Interesting, but as you can see, the entire island definitely clearing out, just some high cirrus clouds. Nothing major taking place at this time. The latest Cuban Doppler radar, let us reload it, as well as the latest Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, the latest Cayman radar as well. Let us see what's taking place right now. It looks like the latest Cuban Doppler radar glitched out for the millionth time. It is showing June 22, but it looks like it glitched out at around 12 p.m. today. That was 11 a.m. today, and at that time didn't see much of anything across Jamaica, just some rain bands right here between Jamaica and Cuba, pushing off from, I believe, east to west. The Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, on the other hand, right here confirming some rainfall, some light rainfall in the blues and greens at that. To the west of Guantanamo, to the north of Guantanamo, to the west of the western peninsula of Haiti, we can definitely make out those rain bands. And it's making sense that we're seeing these blues, greens, yellows that represent some light to moderate to heavy rainfall to the northeast of Portland. So it is in line with what we just saw on the latest infrared. So this thunderstorm that we're seeing to the northeast of Portland is matching right now with the latest Guantanamo Bay radar, showing that moderate to heavy rainfall out to sea to the northeast of Portland. Kind of looks like it is pushing southwestward in a way. Could it actually get into Portland later on? Could it dissipate, or could it just push from east to west and stay out to sea? We'll see what happens. The latest Cayman radar, on the other hand, showing some of that light to moderate rainfall across sections of southern Cuba right here as well. We also see some of the isolated shores that affected portion of western Jamaica pushing off towards the west. We see some of that rainfall to the west of the Cayman Islands as well. But regarding what's taking place right now, the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, right now we see in and around Barbican, people in their vehicles going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather taking place. Definitely going to be a fair evening or a fair night for sure, but that could definitely change tomorrow when that tropical wave moves in. And we can see the temperatures right now. We have 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Monday, temperature should be down to what 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Monday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Monday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight blues, and we know the slight blues represents at least 1 degree Celsius below normal temperatures, and we know the normal temperature for the month of June across Jamaica is around 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 32.2 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 31.2 to 32 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Monday. And unfortunately, we have some maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS Online's Twitter page that we have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight these because that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Monday, June 23, 2025. We're referring to Charlestown in the parish of St. Mary from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're also referring to Pennytown in the parish of St. Catherine from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Also, we have Walter Chedesing subdivision in the parish of Westmoreland from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Even Ice Factory Road in Westmoreland from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. getting in on a power outage. And finally, we have Prospect Village in the parish of St. Anna from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest part of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of keeping hydrated. Drink lots of water throughout the day, even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds, and we see a lot of dry air across the open waters of the Atlantic, especially closer to Africa. Dry, stable air to make it harder to rain, making it harder for us to get storms this time of year. We see, however, some blues wherever we have that system that could possibly develop. We'll see what happens. We also see a lot of blues that represent moist air across portions of the Caribbean, Central America, the Eastern Pacific, the Intertropical Convergence Zone of the Atlantic. And that's the thing, those moist pockets are where we have a lot of clouds that could definitely bring more rainfall. And that's what we want. We want more rainfall to keep water in our pipes. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast. So we are heading into the next 3 days. That's June 23, June 24, and June 25. We can clearly see that for tomorrow, Jamaica is in the clear. So to Tuesday, but by June 25, it looks like some Saharan dust is back. Look at this plume pushing in to the Eastern Caribbean. It should be by Jamaica on a Wednesday, June 25. We see the greens, we see the yellows, we see the oranges. We are definitely going to be noticing that Saharan dust. But we're glad that it's not that vigorous of a plume. We're glad that we don't see the crazy reds, the crazy pinks. That basically was that intense plume that we got a couple weeks ago. And that's what we don't want. We don't want the crazy Saharan dust to cause very hazy skies, not to mention trigger somewhat of respiratory illnesses in persons, asthma, sinusitis, you name it. So we're glad that whatever is coming on Wednesday is not that vigorous of a plume, but it is big enough that we could notice some of it in the atmosphere. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, still seeing that the highest waves are wherever we have the dark blues into the purples, into the pinks. That's what we see here on the key on the bottom right. That's 2 to 2.5 meter wave heights, maybe even more. Right here to the east of Nicaragua, to the east of the Caribbean. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We clearly see more of an easterly flow across the Caribbean for sure. We see the strongest winds to the north of Panama, the yellows to 25 knots or more. We see the strongest winds to the east of the Caribbean as well. So it makes sense that the highest waves are in those spots. But if we take a closer look at Jamaica regarding our wave forecast, to the north of Portland, 1.4 meter wave height. To the south of St. Thomas, 1.4 meter wave height. To the south of Clarendon, 0.7 of a meter wave height. 1.3 meter wave height to the north of St. Anne. 1.1 meter wave height to the north of Hanover. And to the south of Westmoreland, 0.7 of a meter wave height. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We clearly see more of an easterly flow coming through. And regarding the winds itself, up to what? 13 knots to the south of St. Thomas, 14 knots to the south of Clarendon, 14 knots to the north of St. Anne. And look at where the air is going to be piling up. Wherever we have the blues, that's where we're going to be having the least amount of wind. That's where all of the air could pile up so that we get more daytime heating, rainfall, that diurnal convection, and whatever comes off of the sea. Definitely even more rainfall over eastern Jamaica. We're definitely going to be getting some rain tomorrow for sure. Upper level winds still coming in from the west southwest tomorrow. So something similar to what took place today when we had those cloud tops being sheared off towards the east northeast. That could definitely be what takes place on Monday. Look at the high cold cloud tops being sheared off towards the east northeast. That's what's going to be taking place tomorrow. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 7 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do both maps will show in consensus? What do both maps agree on? We're definitely seeing some blues represent rainfall out to sea, especially to the north of the island, to the north of Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, some of it on land too. The GFS also incorporating some of that rainfall into portions of St. Thomas and Portland at that time. Definitely interesting, and what usually comes into the east pushes to the west, so maybe sections of some central parishes could get in on some of the action. Fingers crossed that you get some rainfall if you're in Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Catherine, Clarendon. I know that you guys really want the rainfall. But look at this, even by around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time, we're still seeing the blues that represent rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Very interesting. Looks like it's going to be a very festive day on Monday. That it's Monday, and if it's any day of the week to get a rainfall, Monday is not one of those days at all. It's usually one of the other days of the week, because Monday is the crazy work day. Don't really expect crazy rainfall on Monday, but this is what the maps are showing. It's gonna be interesting to see how it all plays out. It looks like it's going to be raining, especially during the afternoon hours. Get ready, bring your umbrella, bring those rain gears. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps are in agreement that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica tomorrow. The eastern, central, and western sections of the island definitely in agreement on both the Euro and the GFS malls for rainfall, up to at least 0.37 of an inch of rainfall for the totals here on the Euro, up to at least 0.73 of an inch of rainfall for the totals here on the GFS. We'll see how it actually plays out, and we could even get in on some isolated flash flooding. Some thunderstorms could be in the forecast. Very interesting day tomorrow for sure. And whatever happens, we'll take it, because we're in the month of June. We're in our secondary rainy season. And in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive 110 millimeters of rainfall for the month of June. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive around 6.5 inches of rainfall for the month of June. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of June or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website to show that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next one, John 68 hours. That's the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. The reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens, they represent inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. So we just looked at Monday. Now it's time to look at Tuesday morning. 12 is actually 7 a.m. on Tuesday. We see rainfall to our south, we see rainfall to our north on the Euro. Tuesday afternoon, look at that. Rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Let us see what the GFS shows for Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, rainfall to our west, rainfall to our northeast, rainfall to our south. Tuesday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes once again. Let us see what Wednesday morning is showing. On Wednesday morning, we see rainfall to our west, rainfall to our south. We're also seeing that system that's trying to formulate to the south of Central America. We see the isobars, we see the moisture, very interesting. Then on Wednesday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes once again. Let us see what the GFS shows. Wednesday morning, rainfall to our south, rainfall to our southwest. Wednesday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes too. An increase in moisture right here across the southern and western Caribbean. We see the isobars associated with what could develop, maybe flossy. Interesting. Let us see what Thursday morning shows. Thursday morning, some isolated showers across the south and the east. A lot of rainfall to the west and the southwest. Then Thursday afternoon, maybe some rainfall still across some central and eastern parishes. What does the GFS show? Thursday morning, rainfall across the south and the east. A lot of moisture in the western and southwestern Caribbean. Thursday afternoon, rainfall across eastern and northwestern parishes. Very interesting. Let us see what the Euro is showing for Friday morning. On Friday morning, we see a lot of moisture in the western and southwestern Caribbean. We see some isolated shores across far eastern Jamaica. And then on Friday afternoon, don't really see much of anything, definitely clearing out. That's what the GFS shows. Friday morning, not really much of anything. Friday afternoon, not really much of anything either. It looks like a very sunny Friday. But look at the abundance of moisture across the Western Caribbean into Central America, Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador. It looks to be some tremendous flooding rainfall, like what the Hurricane Center stated. Very interesting. Saturday morning now, what do we see? Maybe some rainfall across the northeastern parishes. We also see an increase in moisture across the eastern Caribbean. Very interesting. Saturday afternoon, looks to be 18, even though that's 1 p.m. Some rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes. And we're stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for 7 a.m. on Sunday, June 29. And we can clearly see some rainfall to our north, rainfall to our south. Very interesting. We also see all of that moisture pushing to the west, to the south of Mexico. Let us see what the GFS shows. Saturday morning, rainfall to our north. Saturday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. And then at the end of the 168 hours, this is valid for Sunday, June 29. Don't see much of anything across Jamaica, maybe some isolated shores out west. You also see some moisture across the Windward Islands. You also see a lot of moisture pushing into portions of Central America, even sections of Mexico. Very interesting. We'll see how all of that plays out. The Euro is a bit different. The Euro brings most of the moisture and that possible low pressure to the south of Mexico. The GFS definitely closer to the coast. We'll see exactly what unfolds. And regarding the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps now, both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that the most rainfall, as represented by the dark red, purples into the pinks, into the peaches, into the blues, represents anywhere from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8, all the way up to maybe even 10 inches of rainfall. Is going to be expected for sections of northern South America, into portion of Trinidad and Tobago, section of Central America as well. So Belize, Guatemala, all of these areas, those are the areas that could get in on the flood triggering rainfall. While other areas that are shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges, and reds, at least up to 1 inch of rainfall, like the Yucatan, Florida, the Bahamas, the Greater Antilles, the Lesser Antilles, those areas over the next 7 days should be getting in on less than 1 inch of rainfall for sure. Maybe even more in some isolated spots. But regarding Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days, definitely see an increase coming up for eastern, central, and western parishes. But clearly both maps are showing that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be across the far eastern end. The Euro going up to at least 100 millimeters of rainfall. That's 4 inches of rainfall for the eastern end of the island. The GFS only at least up to 71 millimeters of rainfall. So almost 3/4, about 3 inches, almost 3 inches of rainfall. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of that plays out. And whatever happens, I'll definitely be sure to keep you posted with what occurs. Alright, so we're looking back at the visible satellite images of the Caribbean. And as stated, we have a lot of moisture pushing through the Windward Islands. Numerous tropical waves pushing through. We see the intertropical convergence zone very active, extending into portions of Africa. We also see a lot of moisture across Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua. Definitely the monsoon trough very active down there, which is why the Eastern Pacific has been spitting out so many systems as of late. Regarding the Doppler radar images down there near Puerto Rico, we see some rainfall across eastern and southwestern Puerto Rico. We also see some rainfall in and around Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts, Montserrat, Guadeloupe. And if we load these images from earlier today, we can see where we definitely had some rainfall across sections of some central and western portions of Puerto Rico. We have some moisture pushing through Dominica and Guadeloupe. Loading these images from Barbados radar side, we see that moisture pushing through that affected portion of Martinique. St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines definitely getting lashed as we speak. We also see some moisture pushing through Trinidad and Tobago, definitely flood triggering rainfall for sure. And if we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, so we just looked at the rainfall across the Windward Islands. We're also seeing the rainfall across western Florida, sections of Cuba, section of the Yucatan, northern Belize and northwestern Guatemala, sections of Colombia, Venezuela getting under action. And regarding where brunt of the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that the most rainfall should be wherever we have the red. For sure, we're talking about the Windward Islands, the Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, section of the Yucatan, section of Florida, Cuba, the Bahamas, section of the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and some isolated shores in store for section of the Leeward Islands. We're talking about the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, we see an increase in moisture down in there as we head south. Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados getting in under action as well, Trinidad and Tobago. And we can clearly see even section of the ABC Islands getting in on some of the action too. I know that one, both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in agreement with this forecast. We know that the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.